Hello everybody and welcome back to another MTG Bulk Mythic YouTube video. Today we're opening the next 6 packs out of the set booster box that I got on the release day of Kaldheim. Coming to the end of the box, which is all the better because by the end of this week I'm going to be picking up my pre-order booster boxes of Time Spiral Remastered, and that being a block that I was not able to play in, or I wasn't actively playing in rather, when it was in standard, so I could also draft it. I'm really looking forward to that. I'm hearing a lot about how awesome that draft experience was, so we'll be opening some of those packs on the channel as well. In my previous video, if you missed it, there will be a link in the end of this video where I opened up my Secret Lair Secretversary super drops. At the end of this video, go ahead and click that link to roll back and check out what I got in that no nonsense, no foils super drop. All right, but without further ado, let's go ahead and check out what we got here in these next 6 packs of Kaldheim. So again, the set boosters, these are the packs that they designed to be opened up just for the sake of opening up booster packs, whereas the draft boosters are designed to be drafted from. So we start out with the art cards. Have not seen as many of the gold stamped, foil stamped signature ones as we normally have, but here we go with the Snowland right off the bat. Looking through our commons, kind of nothing really remarkable there. If you've seen the other videos, I've talked about quite a few of them. And our uncommons, so we have a black theme in our commons. Our connected uncommons looks like a green-white theme here. And then coming into the middle of the pack, we've got another uncommon Crush the Week. And then our first, what looks like is going to be our first of probably many, hopefully many rares in this pack, is Cyclone Summoner. This is a 7 mana with 2 blue of that. To be a 7/7 giant wizard, and when it enters the battlefield, and if you cast it from your hand, return all permanents to their owner's hands except giants, wizards, and lands. So this is kind of a throwback. There was a Kraken in Zendikar, I want to say, that when it entered the battlefield, you returned everything but Kraken, Leviathan, and Horrors, I think. And so this is kind of cool if you're playing the blue-red giant deck. Maybe there's a way to build this into it so it's the top of your curve and you slam it down, you bounce their entire board, and yours stays relatively untouched. So that's pretty awesome. Then we have here Blessing of the Frost is our next rare. It's a snow sorcery, 3 and a green, to distribute X +1/+1 counters among any number of creatures you control, where X is the total amount of snow spent to cast this spell. So that could be up to 4 +1/+1 counters, and then draw a card for each creature you control with power 4 or greater. So this lets you pump your team too, so that you have possibly more creatures that have 4 power, so you can draw even more cards. And then we have Valkyrie Harbinger. So if you see here, I didn't point this out in some of the other videos with these cards, this collector number is above that 285. This is 374. This isn't in a normal draft booster. It's not in the normal draft format, but it belongs in the set. It's because it's printed in one of the commander decks or one of the theme decks. So they do slot these in to the collector packs, and then our foil is Jarl the Forsaken. And we do have a list card here, Food Chain. 2 and a green for an enchantment that says remove a creature you control from the game. All right, so in new text, that is exile target creature you control. And then you can add an X mana of any one color to your mana pool, where X is the removed creature's converted mana cost +1. This mana may be spent only to play creature spells. So exile a creature you control, and you gain 1+ its mana value in mana. And you can spend that then to cast another one. So this is basically Birthing Pod before Birthing Pod. And for those of you who don't know what that is, it's an artifact that would tap and have a very similar effect. Tap and sacrifice a creature, and you would search your library, I want to say. Yeah, search your library for a card with converted mana cost equal to 1+ the sacrificed creature's mana cost. And that card eventually had to be banned in Modern because they just kept printing better and better value creatures at each of the mana costs, so you could just build a deck, you get out birthing pod, and you use it to just slowly get larger and larger creatures with more and more value. And some of them even let themselves come back to the battlefield after you sacrifice them. So it kind of got a little bit out of hand, especially when Siege Rhino was printed. And I don't have any hate against Siege Rhino. I played Abzan and Tarkir until it rotated out. So in Standard, it wasn't that. It was still a powerhouse, but in Birthing Pod and Modern, it got Birthing Pod banned. So Faceless Haven is our rare, so it's the rare Snowland here. Tap out a colorless, or you can pay 3 snow, and it becomes a 4/3 creature with vigilance and all creature types until end of turn still a land. So it's basically a 4/3 shapeshifter when you activate this cost. This card right now is a staple in the mono red deck because it dodges a lot of the removal. It gives you something, it gives you a Snowland that you can throw in with your Snow Mountains to get what you need to make Frostbite a lightning bolt. And then when you've emptied your hand or you don't have anything else better to spend the mana on, you can make it into a creature and continue to get aggressive with it. So that's a real fun card. I play 4 of them in my mono red deck. And then here's Squash, which is the giant removal spell. It's 5 mana to deal 6 damage to a creature or planeswalker, but it costs 3 colorless less if you control a giant as our foil there. And then we have another list card here. Springjack Shepherd, Kithkin Wizard. So this is probably more of a foreshadowing of the Time Spiral Remastered than it is necessarily related to the snow or the metal theme of Kaldheim. So Gavin Verhey kind of let slip that some of the list cards in Kaldheim are a nod forward to Time Spiral in one of his Good Morning Magics. I can't remember what card it was that he was talking about, but he opened some of these set cards and got another Kithkin out of there, and he's like, yeah, this is kind of a foreshadowing of that, because apparently Kithkins are in that Time Spiral Remastered there. So that's fun, but guess what? So are Slivers, and Slivers are awesome. So Naya Slivers, here we come, if I ever get to draft it in real life. Got a foil snow-covered island there, pretty awesome. Our connected commons are red aggressive there. Our connected uncommons are going to be, looks like a blue-white Foretell. Yep, blue-white Foretell theme here. And actually more uncommon. The 4 uncommons is a pretty good pull there too. Crippling Fear, 2 and black to choose a creature type, and creatures that aren't of the chosen type get -3/-3 until end of turn. So if you're running a tribal deck, this will really hit against your aggro decks, because you can just like, oh, I'm playing all whatever it is, right? Clerics or dwarves or whatever, and then everything on your opponent's side of the board gets -3/-3. And if it doesn't kill them, it definitely sets them up for failure when you go into combat. And then here we have a showcase theme, Herald King of Skemfar. Wow, these names are hard to say. It's a colorless black and a green for a legendary creature, Elf Warrior. And then it has Menace as a 3/2. When it enters the battlefield, you can look at the top 5 cards of your library, reveal an Elf, Warrior, or a Tyvar card from among them, put them into your hand, and put the rest on the bottom of your library in random order. So Kelvar can go get Tyvar, and Tyvar is a planeswalker that's actually pretty good. So the black-green Elves deck is very well supported in Limited in this set. So our first token there is the 1/1 Flying Spirit creature token. And with the tokens, because the art is expanded all the way to the border and even behind the box here, the way that you tell the color of the token without a casting cost is you look at the color of the box of the title or the name of the card. So here's a foil Sulphurous Mire, the black-red Snowland. Connected commons here are black graveyardy stuff, which is pretty interesting. A little bit of pain. A lot of commons. Dread Riders there. There's Priest of the Haunted Edge. Coming into our uncommons, we'll probably only have a couple, if any. Just the one. Immerstrom Skull. Karn is the dual activated cost land there. Our first rare of the pack is Tyrite Sanctum. Another land tapped out of colorless, so you can pay 2 to tap it. Target legendary creature becomes a god in addition to its other types. Put a +1/+1 counter on it, or you can pay 4, tap, and sacrifice it to put an indestructible counter on target god. So the interesting thing about this one is if you read this first activated ability very carefully, pay 2, tap, target legendary creature becomes a god in addition to its other types. Put a +1/+1 counter on it. The words that aren't on the card following that statement are until end of turn. So it becomes a god for the rest of the time it's in play with that +1/+1 counter on it. And the +1/+1 counter probably also acts as kind of a reminder if you're playing tabletop, like, oh yeah, it does have a +1/+1 counter on it. I did make it a god. Now I can activate this next ability to make it indestructible. So, and that's an indestructible counter. It's an ability counter, so that's permanent as well. We have Selvala as our theme card here. The red-green troll warrior and a foil shackles. And troll. All right, a couple packs left here. Pretty soon, I'm really happy to pick up a couple of these lands. You know, the what do you call it? Your Faceless Haven is definitely playable. The Tyrite Sanctum, be interested to see where that kind of slots in. I haven't seen it much playing Arena. So here we go with the black-green elves, and yes, that's an elf because it's a shapeshifter. So we got black-green elves as our connected commons theme here, and then we have what looks to be a rune kind of theme, and these two not really totally connected because I mean, shoot, it's Mardu, I guess, but looking at kind of enchanted or equipped, right? So here's an enchantment that can also be enchanted onto a piece of equipment so that the equipment can carry it onto the next creature. And then coming into our rares, Mystic Reflection. This card's cost a lot of confusion. To be honest, I'm not going to go into the whole explanation because I've heard it explained over and over and over again. But it talks about the next time one or more creatures. So that time is one instance of one or more creatures. So essentially a single cast or a single ability resolving, and then it will copy that non-legendary creature. So it's not every creature that enters after that. It's one the next time, right? And then we have Bears of Litjara. So this is the blue-green shapeshifter spell, but the shapeshifters are bears because they're all of creature types, and they enter as 2/2s because all bears should be 2/2s in real life, right? And then they become 4/4s, and then all your 4 power or greater creatures crush a creature that you can target. So, and then we have the Showcase Frame Maja, Guard Protector, 2/3 for 5. That's 2 green, white, white. But other creatures you control get +1/+1, so it's got an Anthem effect attached to her. And whenever a land enters the battlefield, you can create a 1/1 white human warrior creature token, which that truly reads a 2/2 because of the Anthem ability. So, yeah, if you're playing, it's kind of it's definitely landfall without putting landfall on it because it's not a marquee account, marquee mechanic of the set. But if you're playing a green-white, go wide kind of strategy, maybe that's a good curve topper for you there. And then Scorn Effigy is your Foretell enabler. And then Flame of Keld list cards. So this is from Dominaria. And it's one of the first sagas. Dominaria introduced the sagas. So it's pretty cool to see it in here because sagas came back in this set. And it's probably one of the most metal of the sagas. So chapter 1, discard your hand. So it's 2 mana. You don't want to play this on turn 2 in red. You probably want to play this on like turn 4 or 5 when your hand's almost empty anyway. You discard your hand. The next turn you draw 2 cards, so you end up having 3 in your hand for the next turn. And then the last turn, if a red source you control would deal damage to a permanent or player this turn, it deals that much damage plus 2. So this is definitely like your curb topper last ditch effort. I haven't won by turn 5 in my aggro mono red deck, and I need to push through some damage. So I'm going to draw 3 more cards next turn because my hand's empty, and hopefully there's a burn spell in there that I can plus up with this last ability if I survive one more turn and just blow my opponent out. So that's exactly what that does, because anybody who's played mono red aggro knows that if it's turn 5 and you haven't killed your opponent, then you're kind of in a bad way, because now your control and mid-range decks are going to start to eke up on you, unless you believe in the cleave, and that will also finish the game off for you. So here we go into Architected Commons on this last pack, mono blue. Little maybe some control-y themes here. So because we got mana ramp, for instance, the sorceries. We've got a bad removal card, and then the changeling with the threat of activation is pretty classic there, and capping it off with a Snow Yeti with cannot be blocked, so pushing through that extra damage after you've controlled your opponent's board state, I guess, is what they're going for there. In our green, it's definitely, in our uncommons rather, it's definitely a blue-red Giants theme with Giants Grasp and Dual Strike, because we're looking for expensive spells, which the Giants, because they're big, are generally more expensive in the casting cost, in the 4 and up range. There are a few 3 cost Giants, but it's really hard to make a 2 mana creature that you could think is a giant. But here's our first rare, is the Blood Sky Massacre. It's a little bit of a sacrifice theme saga there, and then we get in our theme card slot a Snowland Shimmer Drift Veil, right? And then our foil Mistwalker, which actually looks pretty cool. Early on in the release, depending on where that first batch of set booster boxes came from, a lot of people were not happy with the foiling treatment. Now it's dark, right? The coloration is definitely darker than the standard card. I actually have another one here to compare it. So for that might be a little bit of a turn off. Like, it's almost as if they shut off the lights, but it's still shiny, which is a little strange. But you can definitely tell that there's a foiling on that card. Some of them, the foil itself didn't seem to gleam for, the rhymers out there. And then I got an ad card because I'm not already buying it. But play Arena. It's lots of fun. It's free. It's socially distanced. All that kind of fun stuff. So that's the second to last set of 6 packs. There were some pretty good wins in here. The rare lands are a good one. Mystic Reflection is a good one. Crippling Fear. If you're in black, it's at the very least a good sideboard card against aggressive players like me. Getting good, unique angels with different abilities on them is going to be good for those Kalia deck players out there, and especially with some black angels. I don't know if it's worth it to trade out all my basic lands for Snowlands just to put that in my Hydra X spells deck, but some fun stuff here. I'm pretty happy with the set. I'd probably have a little bit stronger opinions of it if I was able to draft it, if I was able to play it more than just on Arena, but either way, I think they did a pretty decent job of it. And I'm excited because, to believe it or not, we're already halfway through this season. The next standard set's going to come out pretty soon. I am picking up, like I said at the beginning of the video, my booster boxes of Time Spiral Remastered at the end of this week. So we'll have some more new and interesting stuff to open up as we finish up this box, and then we'll just go from there. So again, if you're enjoying the content, throw a thumbs up down there. Leave a comment. Let me know what you liked. If there's something else you would like to see or something that you think I could improve on the channel, leave a comment. I appreciate the constructive criticism. I do try to respond to as many of those comments as I can. Subscribe so you can see when these new videos come up. I'm really pushing to get at least one out a week. Last week I managed to publish 3. This will be the second one this week. So I'm trying to keep the pace up as much as I can. I do have a lot of things that I want to share with you so that you have good content to watch. And find us on Facebook and don't be afraid to share this video with a friend. Let everybody know that we're out here sharing our hobby together.